So I'm in the market for wireless earphones. So I go to Amazon, I search for wireless earphones. I see thousands of products that are all extremely identical. They all have the same price range, $60 to $120. They all have the same color. They even look almost identical. As a consumer, I have no way of telling these products apart. So there needs to be a concrete way for consumers to identify, one, which are the high quality products, and two, is this product appropriate for the needs that I have in mind? And I think that's where reviews come in. So if you're a seller, you know that reviews are the only way in which you can boost your sales. What do? Well, if I'm not getting the real reviews fast enough or at the rate that I want, then I'm going to start thinking about clever ways to outsource people to write 5-star reviews for me. Hi, so my name is Shreya Sekar. I'm an assistant professor of operations management at the Rotman School of Management and the University of Toronto Scarborough. My research focuses on online marketplaces and how people manipulate these different platforms.
Canadians spend a lot of their time and money online. In 2022, more than 29 million people made an online purchase, and we spent more than $3.2 billion with e-commerce platforms. Across North America, nearly $90 billion in profits flowed through e-commerce transactions, with between 40 and 50% of that going to Amazon. And with all that money comes the inevitable fraud. But it might be a surprising type of fraud. People aren't just selling fake goods or shoddy products, they're peddling in fake stars, phony likes, false testimonials. Fake reviews run rampant online, and according to the New York Times, it's a billion-dollar industry that could be costing consumers and small businesses hundreds of millions of dollars each year. So what exactly are fake reviews? How did we get to this point? And importantly, what can we do about it? Welcome to the Executive Summary. I'm Megan Haynes, editor of the Rotman Insights Hub. Considering the glut of options we're shown when we shop online, let's start with how an e-commerce platform like Amazon serves you up choice selection when you're making a purchase. A retailer will show you the product, and the more prominently it's displayed, the more likely you are to buy that specific item.
There is this thing called the position effect, where the products that are displayed on the top have a higher chance of being clicked on by the consumers compared to the products that are displayed at the bottom. And this is a no-brainer, right? We all have limited time. I'm not going to scroll through all 1,000 pages of search results. I'm going to click on what's at the top, 2, 3 positions. If you are located on page 2, 3, 4, or 5, it's pretty much a death sentence for you.
How an e-commerce platform determines what you see is based on algorithms. These algorithms are proprietary, but people do generally have a decent idea of how they sort data. We know, for example, that purchase volume, how many people are buying a product, will help that item climb the ranks. We know that clicks and consideration, how many people looked at a product and put it in their cart even if they didn't buy it, will also help it climb the ranks. We know the algorithm looks at similar consumer behavior. Say you have 2 customers who traditionally share similar purchase patterns. The algorithm knows that if person A buys one brand, person B is likely to buy the same brand. But importantly, reviews play a big role in the algorithm. The better a product is reviewed, both in terms of volume and stars, the better that product's chances are at landing high in the search results. And this is where the problem comes in.
This leads to something called as data manipulation or data corruption. If the data that you're using is not reliable, then the results of this algorithm, in other words, the algorithm that you use to push consumers to specific products, are not going to be reliable.
Watchdog organizations like FakeSpot or ReviewMeta estimate that upwards of 40% of reviews on platforms like Amazon are phony. Amazon says the number is closer to 1 to 4%.
Now, I don't have a magic 8-ball that tells me what the right number is, but I suspect it's somewhere in the middle.
That's a problem since between 80 and 90% of North Americans have said they use reviews in helping them make a decision before a purchase, which means we're increasingly relying on false information when deciding what to buy. And because people are increasingly turning to reviews in decision-making, it also means platforms are increasingly prioritizing that metric when building their algorithms, creating a negative cycle that's hard to break.
Unfortunately, the way these search ranking and recommendation algorithms work is they constantly reward the products that are doing well in the marketplace. In other words, there is a rich get richer effect where the products that are getting lots of reviews are then recommended to more consumers, and then they end up getting more reviews again and again and again, and the cycle continues.
Many business owners also end up suffering. Even if they want to be ethical and let their great product stand on its own, many feel they have to pay to play the fake review game or risk being deprioritized in the search results, making getting the legitimate reviews they need to grow their business even harder.
Remember that fake reviews have just become table stakes because now if everyone around you is getting fake reviews, if everyone around you is playing dirty, then you are being forced to play dirty.
So what's the big deal? Well, effectively, consumers are being deceived, which leads them to buying substandard products. A recent study by researchers in the UK and California estimate that these phony testimonials likely cost consumers and businesses more than $150 million a year in terms of lost revenue due to returns or faultily made products.
For every dollar that consumers spend on e-commerce platforms, fake reviews cause at least a 12% or the 12% loss in consumer welfare. In other words, by purchasing substandard products, you're kind of losing out on 12% of the experience that you would have gotten had you purchased a much better product.
Longer term, fake reviews are likely to erode trust.
In the short term, this will probably increase the sales on the platform because there will be lots and lots of reviews and lots of hot products. Great. In the long term, though, remember that reviews are one of the main reasons why we rely on online marketplaces in the first place, right? As the review systems become unreliable, I'm going to stop relying on these reviews and I'm going to think, okay, it's not worth the trouble for me to spend hours and hours sifting through these reviews, trying to identify what's good and what's bad. I might as well just go to the store and purchase what I like.
So how did we get here? Let's go back in time, say the 90s to early 2000s, and recall how we used to shop for products before the dawn of e-commerce.
When you think of traditional retailers, where the retailer carefully curates an assortment of products for you to see at the physical store. Now, as a consumer, your choice is simple. I go to the store, I see maybe 3, 4, 10 boxes of cereals, and I pick the one that I like. Great, I'm done.
Amazon and the dot-com bubble ushered in a new era of shopping. We were no longer tied to a single bricks and mortar location, and suddenly you could order a product from halfway around the world. Through the 2000s and 2010s, the share of e-commerce business grew at a steady clip. In 2007, e-commerce made up about 3.2% of all retail purchases in Canada. By 2018, e-commerce jumped to about 4% as a share of all retail. Enter the pandemic and e-commerce skyrocketed, making up 11% of all retail sales by 2020. And as we all shifted at least some of our shopping online, Amazon was building its marketplace, a spot where third parties could sell their wares rather than Amazon being the curator.
Originally, a marketplace is just providing you with a shopping mall, right? It's renting the shopping mall to thousands and thousands of sellers who can all operate their little stores on this marketplace. Now, this is a much better model because Amazon is outsourcing all the risk and all the supply decisions to these individual sellers. And on top of that, they get to take a 15 to 20 to 25% cut of every purchase that happens on the platform.
By 2017, Amazon announced that for the first time, more than half of its sales were coming from third-party vendors. And since then, other retailers, including Walmart, Best Buy, and the Bay, have all jumped on the marketplace trend in a big way. But all this extra choice creates a problem.
So as a consumer, you're now looking at a million different people who are all selling the same thing, and you need a concrete way to identify which products are the best ones for whatever task that you have in mind. And I think this is the backdrop against which reviews have really started playing a huge role.
Not only are reviews integral to e-commerce search algorithms, but products with better and more plentiful reviews are also more likely to be purchased. A 5-star rating can boost sales between 5 and 10%. And since Amazon gets a cut from every purchase, what incentive is there to look into an item's unexpected or sudden jump in stars? Well, until recently, very little. Fighting these reviews is costly, and it takes Amazon about 100 days to remove a phony one. Retailers don't want to take down valid reviews, and these fakes have gotten very sophisticated.
They can start mimicking real reviews. They can start using personal anecdotes to make your reviews seem authentic. They can even have like a mostly positive review with a few negative parts sprinkled in, just so that it mimics the shape and function of a real review.
A 2020 paper exposed a number of Facebook groups where merchants could connect with people offering up fake reviews in exchange for a few dollars. The reviewer would purchase the product through Amazon, leaving a review as a quote-unquote verified purchaser, then return the product through back channels for a refund and a little extra cash on the top. Since the paper's release, Amazon, Facebook, and the FTC in the US have put in a concerted effort to shut these groups down. Unfortunately, it's likely they've just gone underground onto private WhatsApp chats and Discord groups. Shreyas says to truly tackle the fake review issue, it would likely cost retailers millions, and in the short term, the cost of fighting these problems might not be worthwhile for these e-commerce platforms, especially since they're still getting their payday.
However, in the long term, I think this can be disastrous for the platform.
So what can we do about this issue? Consumers can be more vigilant when it comes to their product selection, though Shreyas acknowledges that a number of studies have shown that shoppers are really, really bad at recognizing fake reviews.
So one I would suggest is to be critical and try to read between the lines. So for example, when you read a review which is overwhelmingly positive, try to think about what is it the review is not touching on. 2, before you purchase a product, have a checklist. Try to think about what the pros are, what the cons are, and try to come up with a more balanced assessment of each individual product. And 3, I think it's okay to hedge your bets. Don't just rely on reviews, but also try to look at other sources.
Consumers should be aware that since reviews are so integral to climbing the search rankings, newer products tend to attract more fakes. And there is likely a sweet spot where fake reviews thrive, and it's probably within the $30 to $500 range.
Because if you're too cheap, it's not worth the investment to get fake reviews. If you're too expensive, then consumers are usually more circumspect in their purchase, so fake reviews may not be as impactful.
Small businesses, meanwhile, should not be overly reliant on a single platform like Amazon. Shreyas strongly recommends building communities around products and making sure that they're available on multiple platforms, say a digital storefront through Shopify. He also says it's important that small businesses continue to exert pressure on the bigger retailers to address this issue. But ultimately, the onus is on Amazon and other e-commerce platforms to take up this fight against fakes. To Amazon's credit, Shreyas says it's exploring how AI can create a better review structure. It's piloting an AI that will comb through the thousands of product reviews and provide a Coles Notes version of what they say. This shifts the focus from the volume or the star ratings.
But it's about helping consumers find the right product and trying to identify the pros and cons of each product that they're looking at.
The second option Shreyas likes is to introduce some randomness to the order in which products are presented. Rather than rely on a single algorithm to serve up products to a customer, as Amazon currently does, he suggests that it uses 3 or 4 algorithms. And each time you visit the website, you're assigned a new one at random.
Each algorithm is kind of finely trained on a different set of consumers. So what that happens is that these algorithms have somewhat diverse performance measures, and these algorithms may end up promoting very different products. Because I'm running not one, but many different algorithms, I don't just promote one type of product, I can have a more heterogeneous experience in how my consumers are treated. 2, because I choose between these algorithms at random, this means that it's not that easy for fake reviewers to manipulate the algorithm directly. They can only try their best, but if you're using 4 different algorithms to randomize, then the fake review is only 1/4 as effective as they were before.
Not only does it make it a little harder for reviewers to game the system, it can actually be very beneficial to companies like Amazon. Studies have shown that a bit of variety in our product selection helps increase the likelihood of a purchase. In the short term, it might feel like this isn't an issue worth tackling. So what if you bought an iffy toaster if it still works? Shreyas warns, however, that there is a longer-term risk to our buying ecosystem, so the issue of fake reviews and algorithm manipulation is worth dealing with.
I think to me, personally, it's kind of a travesty that reviews have become so unreliable, because reviews are such a fundamentally democratic mechanism that I think generally benefits society as a whole, right? Like in the absence of fake reviews, reviews really do work. In other words, they help consumers find good products, they help spotlight good products, and they help smaller sellers compete against the bigger sellers. Algorithms play a huge role in our life. So, which means that we have to critically examine this pipeline in terms of the different ways in which humans can manipulate the algorithms to do their bidding. But when you trick the algorithm, you're not just tricking one consumer, but you're tricking thousands of future consumers who are going to rely on these algorithms for their purchasing decision.
This has been Rotman Executive Summary, a podcast bringing you the latest insights and innovative thinking from Canada's leading business school. Special thanks to Assistant Professor Shreya Sekar. Join us in a few weeks as we chat with Assistant Professor Avni Shah about reframing how we think about retirement savings. This episode was written and produced by Megan Haynes. It was recorded by Dan Mazzata and edited by Avery Moore-Kloss. For more innovative thinking, head over to the Rotman Insights Hub and subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts. Thanks for tuning in.